So, welcome to another episode of the Boxuchan collection, I guess? I think that's what I'm gonna call it. Probably. We'll see. Anyway, today we're gonna talk about a movie Jin Roh, The Wolf Brigade. I watched Jin Roh a long time ago. I think it was about 2008, 2007. I think I was just turning 14 or 15, and it was a random movie I picked up at all places GameStop. I remember seeing and being like, oh, this looks cool. I never heard of it. And I saw on the back that it was by the same people who did Ghost in the Shell. I was like, oh, I love Ghost in the Shell. I saw that on Adult Swim. The movie's gonna be cool. I did not expect. I don't know what I expected, but it definitely wasn't what Wolf Brigade was. However, that doesn't necessarily mean I thought it was bad. Actually, I loved it. The mood of Jin Roh is solemn. It's about growth as a person. It's about war, about the horror of taking someone's life. It's about extremely serious subjects. And I think it does it in a way that's not only interesting, it's in a way that I think few other movies do it. And it's for good and for bad, for sure. Jin Roh, while not perfect, I think is an excellent piece about, like I was saying, horrors of war. It follows the main character, Kazuki Fusei, as he becomes pretty much an elite soldier. He's following the footsteps of terrorists, I believe, and comes in confrontation with a girl. And she is all dressed in red, and this begins the similarities between this and Red. God, what's Red? Red Riding Hood? Little Red Riding. Okay, let's start that over. It states the similarities between Little Red Riding Hood as a story and the tale that happens in this movie. Now, before I continue, Little Red Riding Hood is told a little bit differently in certain countries, if I recall correctly. The story is a little more violent and bloody, if I recall correctly. I'm not sure if it's a Grimm's Tale story originally, but it could be. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can leave a comment, tell me. Wasn't really. Didn't take the work to actually, look it up and all that. So you tell me. But throughout the movie, it showcases a different tale of Little Red Riding Hood, where Little Red Riding Hood goes to wherever her grandma's, it doesn't matter, it's somewhere. And, Wolf is there, she, grandma, ate grandma, whatever. And in this story, the wolf has like bits and pieces of grandma in jars. It's like brains in a jar in the fridge and like other kind of stuff like that. Bits and pieces of her body are like laid around. It's much more horrific and body horror themed. You tell me if that's actually parts of the story or what, but that's how it's showcased in this movie. Anyway, so to get back on track, the plot revolves around Kazuki. In the very beginning, he comes across the girl who had been running away and being a terrorist. She's only 14, 15 from what it seems like, and he is ordered to shoot her on sight. He refuses to, and one of his teammates ends up killing her right in front of him. This sends him into a spiral depression, and the army that he's a part of is trying to retrain him to be able to kill on sight. They're punishing him, essentially. So the first portion of the film is him dealing with that, the horrors of what he'd seen. He has flashbacks. He essentially seems to have PTSD due to the issue. It's not exactly stated, but that's probably what's happening. As Kazuki is dealing with his punishment from the army, he meets up with the sister of the girl who was killed. They become friends of some sort and work together to overcome what exactly is going wrong in Japan at the moment. Jin Roh is not the most action intensive anime. If you're going into Jin Roh with the thought of, like I did, originally thinking, oh, it's gonna be like Ghost in the Shell, it'll probably be more action oriented. Not necessarily. Jin Roh uses its action as focal points, but it's very short. They're good, don't get me wrong, they're very good, but they're powerful, however short. They're supposed to be emotional and they're supposed to have meaning. While it does, I don't think it stays true at all times. I think Jin Roh might be considered, I hate to say, boring by some people. Same way as, like, some people are just not gonna like war movies. Jin Roh's slow paced. It's not exactly a noir film, but it's close. There's a lot of espionage stuff happening. There's a lot of just lore about what's going wrong in Japan at that moment, about terrorism, about why people are uproars against the state government. There's a lot to take in, and it's done through dialogue. While it's good dialogue, it's not the most amazing things in the world. It's good. When the dialogue is strong, it's great, and that's what I remember most about the film. There's some fantastic monologues in the film, in my opinion. There's really Kazuki, what he goes through emotionally is really interesting and sad, emotional, something to make you think. But Jin Roh will not be for everybody, and I think it will be too slow for some people. While not necessarily a bad thing about it, it's just something to stay put, especially since they put blatantly from the creators of Ghost in the Shell. If you liked Ghost in the Shell, you're not necessarily going to like Jin Roh. However, if you like Jin Roh, you will like Ghost in the Shell. I think it's one of those situations. Jin Roh, animation-wise, looks great. I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember looking really good. This Blu-ray release, I think it looked great. The movie had this, well, you've seen Ghost in the Shell, right? It's this dark, grim, saturated colors, with really bright colors mixed in, thinking a lot of like black, grays, but really strong reds, blues. The same thing goes with Jin Roh. Red is a very evocative color throughout the film. I still think it stands up still today. I think you could watch it and don't think it's old. I don't think it came out late 90s, and it definitely has that feel. If you've watched Ghost in the Shell, it definitely has that same sci-fi dark tone feel. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it's that feel, and it definitely stands tall in animation with that for sure. So to wrap it up, yeah, Jin Roh is really good in my opinion. It's a really interesting piece of the horrors of war. It's not necessarily disturbing, but it is, in a sense that it will make you think. It'll make you wonder, like, what is morally correct to do throughout the film, especially what the main character and the sister does in the end. Um, you'll be wondering who was right, what decisions could have been better, etc. It took me 2 views, I think, actually, to fully understand what happened. I did watch it when I was younger, so I might have just some things just might went over my head, but I do remember having to watch it twice to fully understand the ending and fully understand what was going on. There is a lot of lore, so to speak, throughout the film because it builds up why the war is happening, etc. So, like I said, it's good, most likely for patient viewers, and I think it's definitely worth a try, and I don't see anyone talking about it. I have never heard anyone bring up Jin Roh. It's always Ghost in the Shell when talking about the creator, and with good reason. However, I think Jin Roh is worthy to talk about, and it's good. This was episode 2 of Boxuchan Collection. I hope you liked it, and I'll be doing more soon. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by Boxuchan, the one and only personalized anime DVD service. Whether you've watched anime all your life, or just beginning, let Boxuchan send you a box full of shows, movies, and so much more. Our quick survey accurately pinpoints your preferences to make a perfect box. For a limited time only, try Boxuchan for $34.99 at Boxuchan.com.